So, in difficult relationships that it is tough to get to the point where you are going to set a boundary. You got to be clear about your boundary. You got to know what's not okay with you, what's okay with you. You've got all kinds of things that you have to do. When you finally get there and you set your boundary, you say it, you tell the person, whether it's beforehand or, when something is going on, and you just feel so good about setting your boundary. And then all of a sudden comes all of these change back moves. And change back moves are what a person does to try to get you to go back to your old behavior. Now, it might not just be a boundary, it might be that you are acting detached and the person feels anxious and uncomfortable with the fact that you're not as affected by their behavior and as you used to be, or you're not arguing like you used to be. They can't push your buttons, or all of a sudden you're taking care of yourself and the person's not used to you taking care of yourself. And now this taking care of yourself is kind of threatening to you or to that person because they're like, I don't know, like this feels weird, makes them feel unstable. Nobody likes change in a relationship. Change is always a little bit threatening. But if you're securely attached and you're healthy, you can tolerate change. But when you're not, change is threatening. And when you feel threatened, you usually try to defend yourself. And these come in the form of change back moves. So, what are some examples? Well, let's say that a wife says to her husband, I want to separate because, there's verbal abuse or emotional abuse in the relationship, and we need to separate and work on ourselves. So, and then the husband says, well, sure, I'll move up the street. I'll move in with Kathy. And Kathy is a single female his age. And so, what he's basically saying to the wife is, I just upped your ante. If you want to separate, I'll I'll threaten you. I'll threaten you that I'll move in with Kathy. And I always say, unless Kathy and he know each other way too well, he is not going to move in with Kathy. And if he does, the wife can say, well, that's fine, because if you move in with her, it won't be a separation, it'll be a divorce, right? So, but that was a change back move. Now, if you are also anxious and you're fearful, you might give in and say, okay, fine, we don't have to separate. But that's not a good thing to give in to somebody who does a change back move. It could be a husband, let's say his wife is has drinking problem, and so he starts going to Al-Anon. So he leaves the kids home with her uh, one night a week or a couple nights a week to go to Al-Anon so he can get strong in himself and get healthy. And she creates a problem with the kids. And when he gets home, the kids say, oh, mom was terrible. She was mean to us. She yelled at us. And then the husband thinks, oh my gosh, I can't go because the kids aren't okay with her. Well, she just got her way. She manipulated to cause a argument so that he feels like he can't go because him going to Al-Anon was threatening to her. So this was a change back move. Another example would be a son who, or a daughter, let's say, who had was living at home and wasn't working or doing what the parents wanted. And the parents say to the child, like, okay, you're going to have to move out, in a month because, you need to be on your own. You need to support yourself. You need to get a job. You need to grow up. And the adult kid says, hey, no problem. I'll move in with Randy. And Randy is someone who is a friend that's kind of a bad friend, maybe was on drugs, and the parents know that. And so they're like, oh my gosh, we don't want this kid moving in with Randy. That will be a bad outcome. So, okay, fine, you can stay here longer. Change back move. Okay, that's exactly what it was. It was a move to get you to go back, to drop your boundary. Now, what about if you were taking care of yourself? So you're taking care of yourself, you're going to counseling, you're spending time on making sure that you're healthy eating and that you're um, meeting with your friends. Let's say a husband is threatened by the fact that his wife is getting kind of independent. taking care of herself by going out with her friends or by going to therapy. What's he going to do? Here's some change back moves. He's going to call her selfish. He's going to accuse her of neglecting him, of not caring about him, of spending too much time away, of starting a new life and being in and leaving him behind or not wanting to be a wife to him. All change back moves to get her to stop taking care of herself. Do they work? If she lets them. And let me tell you, when you're just learning these new behaviors, you tend to be highly susceptible to change back moves. Let's say you were detaching in love. You were learning to not be affected by somebody else's moods, by somebody else's anger, by somebody else's opinion. And the person senses that you're backing off and you're not affected by what they do. You're not affected by what they say. You are kind of, you got some distance between you and them, some healthy distance. And again, they can figure out what will get to you, telling you, oh, you don't care about me anymore. You don't care how I feel. You've left me. You only care about yourself. Whatever it will do, whatever will work to get you thinking that you're doing the wrong thing is what someone will do in order to use as a change back move. It's to make you go back to who you were before because a person doesn't like who you've become because it's threatening. So what do you do if you are you're working on new behavior, new changes, boundaries, and somebody has change back moves? You expect them. You expect somebody who is uncomfortable to have change back moves, and you don't let them work. You recognize them. You say, that's a change back move. And you stop and you think, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I setting the boundary that I'm setting? And you make sure that you stick to it. You stick to your healthy behavior because you know that it's good for you. You expect it. My husband, when I went to 12-step program, I recognized after a while that we ran a business together. And every time I'd be ready to walk out the door, he'd say, oh, we need to talk about business. And I was very conscientious and I did a good job and I was willing to take care of things. And it was a little uncomfortable to say, no, I don't want to talk about it right now because he was often gone during the day out in the field. And I would had to be available when he was. But then I realized that was a change back move. That was a drop it and don't go to your meeting. And then I stopped letting that work. I would say, no, Wednesday night is my night. I go to a meeting. We can talk about that tomorrow. And I left anyway. So it's recognizing the change back move and not letting it work. So your challenge is to watch for those change back moves. Galatians 6:9 says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. So all of that work we put into change, it will be good if we just hold fast to it and don't let it go. So I hope that this video was helpful to you. Please check out my devotional, my classes, and my resources on my website. God bless you.